we can make these prostrations as a way to remind ourselves to use our body, speech, the potential that we have to use our body, speech, and mind for the benefit of others. And for that, we need to start with ourselves, eliminating the causes of our suffering and creating the causes for our happiness. And from that, we can expand it towards everyone around us, all the people we love, all the people we like, all the people that support us, help us. And then even the people that we don't know so much, that are so kind to us, to give us food and so many things we enjoy. And then, of course, even those people that we have difficulties with, they also want to be happy and not suffer. Maybe they think that harming us is the way, so we shouldn't be angry about that. They are just confused. Because we also do that sometimes. We also use our body, and especially our speech, to create suffering to others. So that's why we need to do a lot of prostrations to purify those. And we do with the understanding that the purification is not happening just because we're going to put our, knees and hands and what's the name of this? Forehead. Forehead on the ground. But it's actually because we have the intention to transform our minds. And the more we develop the intention to transform our minds, the more we actually transform it, right? We look for ways to transform by decreasing our self-cherishing, decreasing our negative emotions, and increasing our love, compassion, kindness. So that's why we are here today, to do that. And to make sure that we are kind of like able to do that, and then we get inspired to do that, we also have people like, all of these incredible teachers in front of us that already have done this path. So we can believe it's possible. That is the role of the guru, to help us believe we have the potential to develop a mind, a body, and a speech only to benefit others. Okay, so we're gonna do that with that intention today. And can visualize in front of us our teachers, the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, all of them looking at us with love, compassion. And when we do these prostrations, we do it with the idea of humbling our very, very strong sense of I know best. But actually, we surrender that we need help. Om Namo Manju Shri Namo Su Shri Namo Tama Shri Soha Om Namo Manju Shri Namo Su Shri Namo Tama Shri Soha Om Namo Manju Shri Namo Su Shri Namo Tama Shri Soha. All right. Can you hear me there at home? Yes, Iris? Yes? Can you hear me well? Okay. All right. So, what we talked about last week? Someone remembers? No. No problem. No. Nothing. Give me a little bit. Thank you so much, Ajay. Because I'm very thirsty today. Thank you so much. Sorry. It's okay. We were talking about compassion. That's what we're talking about. Bodhisattva, the Bodhisattva kind of a toolkit. The idea to developing tools. Yesterday, the lady that was there talked about that, the tools. That is the most important thing I think about Buddhism is actually it's an inner toolkit. Thank you so much, dear. And then we can develop these inner tools that helps us to help ourselves and to help others. Look how amazing this is. Amazing. It's very good. So, but then we need to really understand what is the problem that we are facing. And that is already a big deal, to be honest. Understanding that the mind that we have right now is a source more of suffering than actually happiness. Sometimes it's very easy. When things start to go wrong, and normally it's not one thing goes wrong, everything happens at the same time, right? Did you have that feeling sometimes? That is just like then the work, and then the family, and then this, and then the society, and then I don't know, finance, and then everything starts to get like bad, in our eyes. So then we start to really suffer. And then we start to not understand that actually the cause of the suffering is not all of these external things happening, but the perception, right? The mind we are dealing with it. So that is the main thing that the Dharma wants to actually talk about. It's the approach, the mind on how we are dealing with problems. And especially how we are labeling, why we are labeling things problems, right? Because what's problem for us, maybe for the people over there in Gaza, very different problems. Or maybe for the people in different places, even in Europe, they have very different types of ways of problems. Like problems for them is sometimes they need to wait 2, 3 months to go to the hospital or something like that because everything's public, like public hospitals over there, public health. And then here is the $1 million bill from when you go to the hospital, right? So it's a different type of issues we have. But the problem is actually that mind that is truly believing that the source, as we talked about yesterday, you were not here yesterday, where is the source of the happiness and the source of the suffering is outside, right? We label everything as the source of our suffering and the source of our happiness. So we cling to that, right? We cling to that idea. Wow, the flower is beautiful, so I'm going to be happy if I have the flower close to me, right? Oh, the water is tasty, so now I'm going to be okay, So those are the mindsets that we actually believe in that. So then that creates a sense in our lives called what we in Buddhism says as cherishing. Yes, we start to cherish these things that we like, and we start to have aversion to the things that we don't like. So who decides how we're going to label life, how we're going to, one thing is going to be seen as beautiful or ugly, or I like it or don't like it, is this sense of I, right? This strong sense of I, this me, myself, and I. Me. And I really need to emphasize is that as the cause of the suffering. Because if we don't understand that this is the cause of suffering, when we're going to talk about developing compassion towards others and saying that this is the ultimate kind of like antidote for the cause of our suffering, people are going to say, no, but this me is what is making me happy. This me is what actually maintaining me, alive, keeping me alive. No, I think we talked about that last time. Keeping me alive. So I need this idea of me. And Buddhism is saying, yes, this idea is not going to get away. It's not about the idea, it's about the belief and the view we think this I actually is, right? First is that view that the external happiness and the external suffering is happening outside. It's being delivered from outside. I like that. I thought about that when I saw the other day the Amazon delivery guy, and I said, "Oh, look, happiness is being delivered." I thought like this. No, it's like this. That's what he thinks. A friend of mine, he says that he lives on the third floor, and then he says, every time I'm going up the stairs, and I like when you start to go up and you start to see the floor, and then he can see there's a package in front of his door. He says, wow, like happiness is being delivered, you know? So I always think about that. That's what we think, that we really believe in that. We really believe, you know, that it is when we're gonna open what we kind of like wanted, then we find that happiness. So we believe that the happiness is being delivered from outside. And then we think that this I needs to experience that again and again and again and again. Hmm? He needs to be constantly experiencing that, otherwise he's gonna die. He's not gonna survive. He's gonna be completely defeated and like unhappy and all of that. But actually, what happens is that then we become slaves, yes, of that feeling of always needing, that I needing more and more and more. But let's really think about one thing. This I, when you were 5 years old, didn't think that having a glass of wine and, well, let's face it, we are all here already in that phase that actually what brings us happiness is lying down in our couch and having a relaxed day, a relaxed evening and not going partying, right? But when we were 5, no idea about that. That was not what this I thought was happiness, isn't it? When we were 5, I don't know, it was playing with our friends or, having, like, I don't know, watching a movie or doing things, telling a story. How old is your granddaughter? The youngest?
2, 5, and 7.
5. There's one 5 now. So what the 1 want? What going to Disney with grandpa? That is what like happiness is about, right?
And ice cream.
And ice cream, yeah. Well, that
Hasn't changed for me.
that hasn't changed exactly. But actually, when we start to think about it, we really believed in that moment, right? We had that firm belief that that was happiness, and we cling to that. And then life passes, life goes on, and then that same sense of happiness of I starts to choose other things. And then it's the, looking for a partner, drinking, partying, or having this or that, doing this or that, right? So then we start to actually see that that sense of I in itself, it's not as fixed even in what it believes is going to bring happiness. Does it make sense what I'm saying? It's changing. But doesn't it feel that there is always something there experiencing that? Like a persona's presence. Yes, like a observer or experiential controller of this. Hmm? That is exactly the kind of like mind that makes us then cling and grasp and cherish that I as the most important thing. So then we become completely slaved. So we live our lives all the time, 24/7, from the moment we are born until the moment we're going to die, slaved of that I, wishing like this, wishing that, not wanting this, not wanting that. That's what we live like. That's what we say it is life. And guess what? We never find satisfaction. We never find peace. We never find ah, that feeling. God. Okay, that's it. I don't need anything anymore. It's okay. Right? That feeling of fulfillment, complete, absolute fulfillment. We don't have that. Sometimes we have it and gone. So what we are really looking when we are trying to find in all of these objects and things, it's actually that fulfillment. But that fulfillment can never be delivered from outside because it's a state of mind. Does it make sense? We talked about that yesterday. Yeah. So the state of mind is the creator of the happiness or the creator of the suffering. So it's the state of mind that believes that these things, that this I, let's start with this, that this I is the controller of everything, is the experiential. And because it is there, this I needs to achieve whatever it wants. This self, this sense of self needs to achieve and to get whatever it wants. To be happy, because we tried, because we have been trying, we've been doing it, no? And because he doesn't want like things that he believes is going to bring this suffering. Actually, that mental state of constantly looking for things to fulfill the desires of this I is the main cause of suffering for ourselves. Haley.
I'm just thinking that it seems in life that you come across people that appear to be happier than others. And so how do we know that happiness is not just a series of these fleeting moments in life?
Yes.
How do we know that the complete happiness that you're talking about, which is apparently permanent and all that,
Yes.
exists?
Think about it. Very good question. Normally, we believe that the sensory happiness, right? Normally, when we meet some of these people, normally we see these people, and then either they have a lot of external wealth, right? And they are kind of like relaxed, let's say like this, and they have, or they show that they are in some ways relaxed and fulfilled and all of that. Or, as I experienced sometimes in India, people that simply don't have so much money, but they are just content with what they have. The difference is that fleeting moment, right? If we believe that it comes from outside, we're going to try to stabilize it, which is normally what rich people can achieve sometimes, right? And also not rich, but us here in the West, in a way, right? We all can go and say, oh, I really want a chocolate cake, and I can just go and have a chocolate cake, right? So we believe in that. So then this becomes like kind of like the idea that that is the happiness that we can achieve. That is what we believe. So what we try is then just to keep those fleeting moments going on. The type of happiness that we are talking about is a type of mental experience that comes when the opposite sometimes of what we actually want happens. For example, when we are in a situation, for example, as I said yesterday, we are down Publix going to buy something, and you think, Tara would love that. That moment, if you really pay attention to your mind, it was it came from something from outside the idea, but the experience of thinking about her and something that would make her happy came from you. No? It's a mental state. Does it make sense what I'm talking about? That creates a mind in that moment of it's much more uplifted than the mind that is craving for the new iPhone. No, the mind of the craving of the iPhone is I have to have it. It's like animalistic. Yeah, does it make sense what I'm talking? Animalistic, like it's wild. That mind of thinking, oh, Tyra would love these flowers, right? It comes from a more altruistic, more kind of like content type of mindset. The problem, as we were saying yesterday, that is very fast. Because the second moment, oh, but she likes it orange or yellow or pink or red. Oh, but if I don't get all, then she's gonna be mad or she's not gonna like me. She's not gonna be my friend anymore. She's gonna hate me. Right? All of the conditionalities for that first wish to be fulfilled. So then we believe that the second part, when she goes and receives the flowers and like it, is the cause of the happiness. But it's not. It's a cause of the temporary pleasure. But the mind that actually had that, no, that very fast moment of thinking about her and feeling happy because of that, that is the mind that actually can be created all the time because it's a mental state. It's not depending on external things. So you can be constantly wishing for everybody to be happy and every single person to be happy. And this will make you happy. Does it make sense what I'm saying?
Well, that last bit I'm not sure about yet.
No, but yes, but it's like if you think if your mind can do that from one person, or your mind can achieve that. Wow. Or when you see someone that you like, getting married. I always say marriage is have that feeling of like the happiness of others, right? You become, but it can be happiness by anything. You can be happy for the happiness of others. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't need anything. It's not, there's no external object in the sense of is you becoming happy. That is not going to make any difference for them. Does it make sense? That it's you. You can do this to yourself. Does it make sense what I'm trying to say?
Yes. We don't have to belabor the point, but I still like my question between those moments, and I get those moments, and the sort of
Stable
one,
Right now, we cannot even think about that stability because right now we are completely addicted to the other type. Does it make sense? The fleeting, temporary sensory pleasures, as I like to say, right? We're just addicted to that. We're just addicted. So that because who is running the show? This I, right? So that is the transformation that we need to kind of like try to change. I read something from one of my teachers. I think it was relatively recent. He was saying, "Oh, when I am able to change the mind that cherishes myself, right, and my happiness is more important, to a mind that cherishes others and want them to be happy." That's when then I find happiness. I know it looks like
it's hard because we're conditioned from
yes. In Brazil, we're gonna say conditioned from life after life after life, right? We've been mastering that. So yes, it is hard. Yes, but as we always say, as that we can also think in our minds is that also we have the benefit of it is not permanent. That is very important. It's hard, but it can be changed. And not only can be changed, but also the more we practice, the easier it becomes. So in that way, it helps us into thinking this way. It says, oh, wait a minute, it can be done. It can be done. So that is why, when we start to understand that, we need to first start to understand that following that mind of only thinking about myself, my happiness, my freedom from suffering, my wishes, actually creates heaviness. Go to the extreme, just for us to think. Every time that you're being very selfish, no? Were you happy? Did you make others happy? Right? When you really were selfish, kind of like when you did something mean to someone, Hmm? Daily.
Never did that.
When you really kind of like, I just want to be talking about me or something like that, kind of like when you lost your patience with someone and it's just like, I don't care, it's just what I want or something like that. Even though the mind doesn't think really like this, but that it is, right? It doesn't make us happy. That is the thing. When you get angry at someone, think about it. Getting angry at someone, the worst thing is for us. The worst result, normally. Because we get ruminating that for like an hour, fuming, and the person sometimes is really far, especially when you're like far away, with family or friends or whatever. They're really far away, and the person is not feeling anything. And you are there, like washing the dishes or doing something with that kind of like energy. Does it make sense? So
that is the mind that we need to understand, that is those mental states, they are not our friends. They are not helpful. They are not. Even if it, I remember that a few, when I was there last time, the woman said, one woman said, but it's so good to feel angry sometimes. Yes, because we even thought that actually being angry is the source of happiness, right? We are so crazy in our minds that we believe that. So that's what it is, that is kind of like we need to start really trying to transform in our minds. Transform, transform, transform. So in Buddhism, we try to say that the idea for us to start transforming really is one of the methods that we use is trying to kind of like use antidotes. We talked about that yesterday. No? Antidotes to those very selfish mental states. Hmm? Because those mental states, even though like yesterday we talked about, they kind of like they contaminate most of our even positive ideas of emotions that we have. No? Love becomes attachment, compassion becomes attachment, or becomes a source of anger because, like our friend, the Italian one, saying yesterday, but I'm helping everybody, but people don't, or they abuse me, or they this, or that, no. So we kind of like start to really see it as if these kind of like these mental states, even the positive ones, as we would say, they don't help us. Hmm? So then we just go back to what is easy, what is familiar, what we feel secure with. So then the Buddhist training is going to say, no, 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 no. Try to train into mental states that have what we call, they are positive, but they also have other two characteristics. They are unconditional and they are unlimited. Hmm? So these two things are going to help us to do that. So these types of mental states, we call them the four immeasurable thoughts or the four immeasurable emotions that we're going to try to develop in our lives as antidotes for those negative mental states, right? And even the normal mental states or the positive mental states that we have, but in a way that is a little bit more, let's say, unconditional and unlimited. That's why they're called immeasurables. No? They cannot be measured. The benefit of them, not only in our minds, but in the positivity of, oh, you want to close the door? Maybe?
Yes.
So that is very important. That we kind of like. So, what are these four immeasurables? They are four different thoughts or emotions. The first one I like to start with is equanimity, the mind of equanimity. The mind of equanimity is a mind that we normally think it is, which is very important. I'm not saying that it's not, that we actually try on a conventional level to try to get like, equal rights for everybody. Let's say like this. That sense of equanimity, yes, very important. Seeing, women and men or race or gender or whatever, everything as one. That helps us with the thought of what actually the immeasurable thought or the immeasurable mind of equanimity actually is. Hmm? The immeasurable aspect of equanimity is seeing that all sentient beings, all beings, everyone that has a mind, that has a consciousness, okay, looks for this permanent, lasting type of happiness and is looking to eliminate suffering. Hmm? Is looking to eliminate that actually feeling of dissatisfaction, that never gets what he wants. Always get what he wants, but it is not never enough. And always need to be chasing and clinging and moving. It's always that this unrest,
Satisfaction.
dissatisfaction, but unrest,
Restlessness.
restless mind, right? There's we always restless. There's like it's never, because oh, the next moment, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. So all sentient beings really want to eliminate that from their minds and find that lasting happiness, that I don't need anymore. And I can just be myself and do things and love others and be compassionate and be kind without any strings attached. Hmm? So that mind that sees that everybody wants that and deserves that, right? And not only that, but that mind of equanimity, it goes a little bit beyond because it is an antidote for that self clinging or conditioning or biased attitude that we have, which is if you are nice to this me here, then I'm going to help you with things that might make you happy and I'm going to help you for you to be free from suffering. The moment you we have a very naughty expression in Portuguese. They say, the moment you pee outside of the toilet, you're out. So it means that the moment you don't make what is one like here, the commander wants, forget about it. I don't want to see you anymore. I don't want to have you in my life. I'm not gonna help you to be happy. I'm not gonna help you to be free from suffering. I want you to explode. No? Yes, Jack.
Yeah, I don't feel like I deserve anything. I feel like I've been awful enough that I only deserve, I'm getting a lot of good things, but I don't feel like,
Yes.
so I'm disagreeing with you that we
Yes, yes, yes.
deserve.
Yes, it's very good because that is exactly one of the things that His Holiness, one of the first teachings His Holiness gave here in the West. He talked about someone asked about how to deal with low self-esteem, and they didn't have a word to translate it. So His Holiness couldn't understand what he was talking about. And then Thubten Jinpa, which was a monk at that time, he was a translator of His Holiness. So he tried to translate what it was. That people feel bad with themselves, don't see them as worthy of things and all of that. And he was in this audience, in the audience with like hundreds, thousands of people. And he asked, who here feels like that? Everybody raised their hands. So that is what, unfortunately, and I don't want to blame anyone in the sense of, coming from outside, but it's our Christian Jewish mentality that we are not worthy of it, right? We are sinners by by birth or by kind of beginning. And what makes that idea not applicable in the Buddhist tradition is the understanding of the nature of the mind, the understanding of the Buddha potential, the Buddha nature. If I understand Buddha nature, if I understand that the mind, because it has experienced those moments of happiness without any type of external object in order to be happy, first. Second, that actually I don't stay with the negative moments all the time, so that means that they are not a inherent part of the mind, right? They don't need to be there because they are not there all the time.
Neither is happiness.
Hmm?
Neither is happiness.
Because now we can't. Now we don't have the conditions to actually make the happiness be there all the time, but we can because we experience that, right? So if we understand these two things, we actually understand that in the sense of deserving means that we have the potential, we can achieve these two things, which is the complete elimination of the suffering, because they are not they are adventitious, means that they come and go, so they are not a part of the mind, they're not inherent part of the mind, right? So if I create the necessary causes, I can eliminate them forever. And not only these, but those moments of compassion and love, if I already feel them now good when I have them, can you imagine when I eliminate the source of my suffering, which is the limiting condition, which is the sense of I, and I experience them in an unlimited, unconditional way, I'm going to be happy all the time. So that proves that we can. And not only me, all beings that have a consciousness are in the same boat. So deserve, maybe not the best word it can be, but I like to use it because exactly of why I explained the first story of the low self-esteem, no? That yes, we deserve because we have the potential. So if we have the potential, we deserve to fulfill the potential, let's say like this. You understand? That's the idea. To really ingrain in our minds that we can do it. It's there. The potential is lying. The potential is us, let's say like this. Right? But we are creating these illusions and fantasies that instead of making us happy, it makes the opposite of it. Create conditionalities, limits for that potential to be expressed all the time. So we just need to eliminate that and allow it to arise. So in that way. So.
I understand. Yeah. Well, I understand
Mm-hmm.
that we have the potential for perfection,
Mm-hmm.
but I also, well, and you kind of agreed. You said, yeah, maybe deserve isn't the
Yeah,
best word
maybe
because
deserve is not the best word, but
I know it's in here and I know what I've done in the past. And
yes.
I think that maybe this is possibly my best life so far. I don't know. But
But
I know I've had some.
But think about one thing. Deserving also the good can be like I had a conversation. I was talking to someone about that recently. Rebecca maybe or Peggy, I can't remember. Once Venerable Rubina. No Venerable Rubina?
Yes.
Shaka she's no, this nun, she's amazing. She's like a force of nature, like completely force of nature. She's 80 now. She just travels the world. She's Australian. She goes all over the world, like traveling. She's very like strong and bossy, but in a beautiful. She's absolutely amazing. What she's done, with like really, really benefited so many beings, and she's still doing. And she's an editor. Like, she edits lots of books and all of that. And she always wanted a place when she was getting old to have a place to stay, right? Because we Western monks and nuns, we don't have, there's a few monasteries, actually, there's one monastery in France, there's one in Australia, for Western monks and nuns. So we don't have, right? So then she said she always wanted to go back and live in New York because she's a city girl, and I want to be editing and I want to be open and go and kind of like, talk to people and things like that. So someone sponsored and bought her an apartment in New York, right? And we were talking about that, we were really talking about that, about how kind of like, wow, and she said, Calvin, sometimes we need to say that, like, to really check how we deserve that as well, because we created the causes for that, right? It's not that it deserves in a proud way, it's not that it deserves in a kind of like, but it's just because if you understand cause and effect, is kind of like saying, if I created those causes, and as Haley like and most of us keep saying, it's hard to create positive causes, right? So in that way, if we done that effort, and we're experiencing the benefit of these efforts, yes, we deserve that in that sense, because it's just cause and effect. So I think that it helps. I use the word deserve because it helps with that Christian guilt, with that low self-esteem, with that kind of like idea that we don't have and we cannot receive something good, right? Yes, we did many bad things. Yes, we lost our temper with like spitted fire, but we also did incredible things. Incredible things. Think about it, Jack. Like how many people we have here, and you were one of the people that this year went to meet His Holiness. You know, like you've done something good. It's not better than them. It's just you created the causes, right? It's just that. It's cause and effect. Doesn't make sense what I'm talking about. Doesn't make you better than anyone. It just makes you, I always say, when we talk about lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes, I always think about it. Wow, I really need to thank my previous lives because I did so many nice, like, look how much I'm receiving. Like I was born in Brazil, you know, there's two that I know of, fully ordained Brazilian monks out of 300 million people, 220 million people, right? I have that strong connection with people like His Holiness, like His Holiness, like Rinpoche. Like I did something good, right? So instead of saying, oh no, I didn't do, no, I need, no, he's saying yes, and I need to continue doing something good. Does it make sense? It's to kind of like elevate our morale and say, no, 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 no. If I am experiencing this, I can experience even more and more and more and more.
Okay.
I like it. Very good. That's a good word. You wanted to say something?
Covered.
Yes, thank you, dear.
Yeah.
So that is the idea of equanimity, right? It's like to really dismantle the walls, yeah, break the walls of the eye, of the self-cherishing that is only about me, 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 what I want, when I want, and da 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 da. Huh? So equanimity is seeing and saying, "Whoa, wait a minute. She also wants to be happy. She also wants to suffer, especially when people are hurting us. Hmm? It's a very powerful mental state, right? Or we are being biased, with people that is like, that we kind of like, we know that we're preferring, no, making preferences. Yeah, preferences, it's kind of like, this person, I like this person, I don't like this person, I give more, this person, I give less, those things. And it's kind of like, that is the mind of the Buddha, and especially, those that have been with teachers like Jackie was telling me some stories about Lamayeshi, that sometimes Lamayeshi with some people was like, whoa, like, you know, and everybody like Lamesh was so kind, and and with Jackie, she was like, he was always saying many good things about Jackie to Jackie and all of that. And Jackie once said, "But Lama, why you're so tough with some of the monks and all of that, and with me you're always so kind?" And she said, "That's what you need. They need that. You can only have that if you have equanimity." Equanimity doesn't mean treating everybody equal. I remember my first humanitarian, no, international human rights law class or whatever it was. One of my teachers said, "There's nothing more equal than treating unequal situations in an unequal way." Think about it. It really took me time to understand what he was talking about. What does it mean? Treating unequal situations in unequal ways. Yes. You cannot kind of like come and give the same, yeah, solution with unequal situations. There's a very nice video on the internet that there is like these I think football players or something like that, football is here, not soccer, football, yeah, American
Real
football,
football.
real football.
No, no, no.
American football, American football. And the coach starts to ask questions, like, about their childhood, about who did that, how they have that, and things like that. And if you had something, you would step forward, you know? So if you had the two parents at home when you were growing up, step forward. If you had meals with your family every evening when you step forward, like things like that. So they can understand that they are not equal, right? They are not starting from an equal point of view on a very mundane type of life. So that I feel it is extremely powerful for us to develop skillful means in ourselves. Skillful means doesn't make sense. How to help others? Yes, we're not gonna help like a dog the same way that we're gonna help a cat, for example, right? It's, it's different. They're totally different animals. But then people, we need to also check that. Does it make sense what I'm talking about? So equanimity is a very, 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 very powerful mindset. And the basis, the foundation for us developing in unconditional and unlimited ways these other immeasurable thoughts. Does it make sense what I'm talking about? Does it? Yes. So people online, is it making sense what I'm talking about? Yes. Okay. Otherwise, you ask. So what happens is that so then equanimity is that foundation, that basis where, okay, if everybody wants to be happy and I want to suffer, then what do I need to do? Well, I need to develop what we call the mind that is going to go against the mind of attachment, right? And the mind that goes, you know, out of a wanting, especially attachment, is love. Hmm? I want people to be happy and have the causes of happiness. So if then we need to discuss what we just discussed. What is happiness for Buddhism? It's not the fleeting moments, right? Those are satisfaction. Those are temporary sensory satisfactions. Is Buddhism throwing these out and saying we shouldn't have these? Nope. Buddhism is saying if you have to help others to have those fleeting temporary satisfactions, maybe it. But you need to know, and when you can help them to realize that the real source of happiness is the mind that thinks about others. Does it make sense? Hmm? So that's why we need to kind of like start developing those understandings. That's why I talked about last week and this week about really understanding what happiness is and what cause and how to be free from suffering, right? So when we talk about love and kindness or love, is that mind that really wishes for those beings to be completely happy. What makes them completely happy? Actually, when they have the mind free from the clinging mind to me, myself, and I. Can we do that for them right now? No idea, because we don't even know ourselves. So that starts to create something very interesting in ourselves, which is that wish to be able to do that. Oh, and guess what? The more I do that, the happier I become. The more I want some other beings to be happy, the more the happier I become. Right? So love starts to really be a powerful mental state that we start to really develop in ourselves. True love, not attachment love, but a love that is actually wanting others to experience these different types of happiness. But especially the long lasting one. So this is the second immeasurable. Third is what we call joy or sympathetic joy. That comes for cutting one mind, an antidote to one mind that we don't have, especially here in America, which is called jealousy and competition. Yeah, we don't have that here. Nobody feels jealous or compete with anyone here, you know? But actually, it's that joy that people can have, positive experiences. But not only like, that they have the new car, the new phone, the new this, that they got the new job, that they got into the new university, but especially the joy when people starts to kind of like be able to transform their mind. It's very, very special when you see, from honestly, it's one of the things that it brings me a type of joy that is extremely powerful when you help someone and you saw that that help really made that person transform themselves. You didn't transform the person, but you helped. And you can see that person like maybe free from, maybe you were the person who kind of like talked to them when they were in an abusive situation, abusive relationship, and you helped them think about it, right? And then they were able to free themselves from that prison, mental prison. Yes? Wow, that creates a lot of joy in ourselves. Not because we did, we participated. There's nothing to do with that. Or even if we didn't participate, or we know about the situation, when we see the person free. Yes, does it make sense what I'm talking about? That joy, that rejoicing, that happiness, that kind of like, that joy, like it's really joyful. It's a joyful experience of like, yes, you did it, You were able to make that possible for yourself. Does it make sense? So that mind is a perfect. The more we make that mind of equanimity, of love, of joy, unconditional and unlimited, the more we train these minds, the happier we become. The happier we become. The happier we become. Yes? Does it make sense? And then the last mind is the mind of compassion. Hmm? Wanting others to be free from their suffering. Right? That really like the ultimate letting go of their suffering. It's like when they really let it go, right? I have so many encounters sometimes with people, that they were like, and I say, just let it go, let it, no, and then with time you see, and then they are like, oh yeah, why do I need to engage with this, right? Why do I need to be this? Why do I need to let my mind, kind of like engage? Or when we help others to be altruistic. Hmm? When we kind of like see, like really someone practicing an altruistic point of view. It's because altruism is very different from each of us, right? Altruism, as we were discussing yesterday, is not about the person who gives the food, but actually the mindset that for that person was a clinging and an idea, and they were thinking about that, and then they were suffering about something, and they become free from that, right? So it's very like it's the mind. So we know, when someone was very attached to a situation and then they were able to free themselves, right? That mind that wants others to be completely, so completely, that creates inner freedom from ourselves. We need to first ourselves, right? When we do that with ourselves first, yes, I practice compassion when I am starting to be, because these four imaginings is not about others, it's about us. So it's about when my mind is grasping to something. Yes, I am grasping to something. I am there. I am like this. Oh, yes, I am. And then I free myself from it. Right? Literally. It's a freedom. It's that space of like, I don't have to. It's not there anymore. Does it make sense? That feeling of compassion, of openness. Yes. So the four imaginables, they are really the perfect antidote to explode, deconstruct, or dismantle the self-cherishing mind. The mind that is really thinking about me, myself, and I, right? When I free myself from my freedom, from my sufferings, when I think about others, and when I feel happy because of others, when I see others as equal as me, of wanting to be happy and not suffer, I am creating that for me. And the more I create that mind for myself, the more I am able to act upon those mental states. Yes? Because the mental state is the beginning of the actions of body and speech. Yes? So the only reason why you say something nasty and hurtful to someone is because the mental state that is coming before that is the self-judging, selfish mind.
I don't know. Sometimes it just comes out without thinking.
There's a very different thing about being aware and and having that's coming out of the blue. There's no such thing. It's almost saying there's no cause, right? There's no such
Seems
thing.
that way.
Nothing exists without a cause. So there is a cause. You might not be aware, right? So that's why I find it funny when people say, there's a teacher, a Tenzin Palm, she says something that I love. She says, like, people say, I was kind of aware, but I was not really aware. And then she says, there's no such thing. It's like being pregnant. Can you be kind of pregnant or like, a little bit pregnant? Either you are pregnant or you're not pregnant. So it's the same thing. You are either aware or you're not aware, right? But the intention, the movement of the mind before creating the speech, before creating the action of the body, it's always there. Okay? Always. Just when we have like instant reflex, when you do like this, that actually doesn't come up, there's things like this. But besides that, everything. Yes. So that means that the more we train to use those mental states in our minds as antidotes, the more our speech will change, our behaviors will change, our way of thinking will change. Does it make sense? So then it becomes a natural result, the external change, not the opposite. I don't need to change first the outside so I can actually start being compassionate, kind, or anything like that. I don't need to go to the top of the mountain. I don't need to become monk or nun. I don't need to come to the Buddhist center. I need to create the conditions so those mental states can be there, trained, training, that I can be training these. So then, if coming to the Buddhist center helps to nourish that, then you come. If you think that going and becoming monk and nun will help, then you become monk and nun. If you think that going to the cave helps, then you will go to the cave. Yes? To nourish those mental states, but not the opposite. Not believing that they are the cause for those mental states to arise. It's a training of the mind. Does it make sense what I'm talking about? Yes?
Yes.
So it's very important that we really understand that these immeasurables, they are, like incredibly powerful mental states because they're going to try to make us unconditional and unlimited in the best of ourselves. So they are very powerful, right? So actually, that's why, we meditate on compassion and we meditate on equanimity, we meditate on love and kindness, we meditate on, sorry, we meditate on, I went to running today and I'm like, it was not a good idea. I'm not a runner at all. So, so I'm tired. So, and joy, we really try to put it in our minds like this. So that's why it's important to meditate. Meditation means familiarization. We need to familiarize ourselves with that. So when we sit down and we meditate, like now we studied about it, we contemplate about it, we meditate about it. So the more we do this, the easier it becomes. And then the easier it becomes on our daily lives with things that are happening to us, with people, with like, situations, with job, with partners, with family, with everything. And then life becomes a playground for like practicing the four immeasurables. Does it make sense? Yes, that is the potential because these mental states, they are part of our minds. They can be trained, they can be developed, they can be like nourished. I like this word nourished, in the sense of developed. It's like, the same way that if we engage into negative mental states, they also become engaged. We also become habituated. Yeah. So we can habituate our minds into a positive way. Does it make sense? Hmm? Yes. People online? Any questions? Any doubts? Sandra? No? No questions? Tal? Iris? No? Alex? Okay. Because that's very important for us to really start understanding the reason why we are doing it. Look at right now, okay? The reason why we are doing it is not because we're doing that for others. Until now, we're doing that for us. Yes? It's actually because we understand that practicing and having those mental states in our own minds helps us to find happiness and less suffering. Does it make sense? That's what a wisely selfish, His Holiness keeps saying. Be wisely selfish. Use your own mind to find what you want. By doing what? Actually, I want to be happy. I don't want to suffer. How do we do that? Creating those positive mental states. And the more positive, the more powerful, the more unconditional, the more unlimited those mental states are, bigger the happiness. Yes? Bigger the freedom from suffering. Does it make sense? Yes? Yes? So that's what we try to do. We try to develop those mental states in our daily lives. We start to see and organize and start to say, oh, look at me being completely biased. This person is my friend, I'm looking this way. This person I don't like, I'm looking this way. This person I have no idea who they are. I am completely don't care about them, right? But actually, if I am putting my mind in wanting this person who is here serving me at the restaurant, serving me at Publix or in the cashier at Publix and all of that, and I want this person to be happy, I don't need to do anything. I don't need to give them a gift. I don't need to do anything. I don't need. But if I just have that in my mind, that wish that they could be happy, completely free from suffering, because look at them, they are stressed, they are kind of like, they have to deal with people, especially, I don't know, like cashiers at supermarkets. Sometimes I see some people very nasty to them. And I'm like, wow, these people are very, or even maybe in restaurants as well. You say, wow, these people, they're really trying their best and then they're just being scolded or kind of like this, and this is horrible. Like, but then not only what is horrible is because they're gonna be self-beating themselves. They're gonna be, hating that person and start with the mind of hatred, ruminating, oh, that person, right? Then, wow, I really wish that the person could be free from this. Because I know that I can be free from this. I know that I can relate to this, because I know when I'm like this, I'm not, wow, really, I really wish this person would be this. Your mind becomes. And then when you look at them, you give a smile, right? And then you go and you say, thank you so much. You're doing such a good job. I went to um, Sprouts on the Thanksgiving days because it was one of the only things that was open. And then I went because I had to go to some people's house before coming to the dinner here. And then I went over there. And then I was just thinking, most people are right at home or going there to buy things to go back home. And these people there working. And then there was this cashier. She was kind of like, I could see she was a little bit tired. And I said, you're so kind for being here and opening and being here working this day, you know? And she looked at me with that eyes of like, you're the first person who told this. Thank you. And I said, well, but it's true, isn't it? And she said, yes, but people don't think like that. And then she said something. If more people would think like that, it would be easier. That is the power that we have to transform other people's lives. Does it make sense what I'm talking about? It's not much. But if we don't have that mental state in our minds, we are just going to go there to get our cranberry. What is the thing that we have? The sauce, the cranberry sauce, and whatever it is, and go home. And that person is just doing their job, right? So to understand how that mental states they can transform our own lives for ourselves first, and as a result, transform the life of others, and as a result, transform the life of the city, the country, everywhere, the world. There is no other way to change life besides those mental states. His Holiness always says, how can we want to have peace outside if we don't have peace of mind? Because the angry mind, or the mind that is not in peace, that is not in peace, will find ways to create conflicts, problems, or whatever. Doesn't make sense what I'm saying? So that's what we can do. So let's start with ourselves. If we can do that, we are already not hurting others, which is the baseline of the Buddhist idea. How we don't hurt others? By not saying, not doing things with our body, right? Those are normally the days that we hurt others. But then, in order for us not to hurt others, we need to stop hurting ourselves. Because the mind is the type of hurt that we do with ourselves. Does it make sense what I'm talking about? Nobody is actually, in some way suffering if you are there thinking bad things about someone or all of things. It's just in a thought, right? But who is suffering is you. And those thoughts, because we have in there, then they're gonna become the speech, they're gonna become the action. Then we're gonna hurt others. So what Buddhism is first saying, do these two things. Stop hurting others with your body and with your speech. But most of us try to stop with hurting yourself with your own mind. Yes? How do we do that? Practicing these counter actions, these antidotes. And the more we create those antidotes, the more we habituate our minds with these antidotes, the more powerful they become, the stronger they become, the easier they become, the more powerful then, and the more contaminating our actions of body and speech they become, right? Not contaminate, they become the source. That's a better way to use. Yeah? Then we become to say to the cashier of Sprouts. Yes. Or we give a smile to that person, I can only think about shopping places because that's what I do here. At Target, That's what it is. Does it make sense? Does it help what I'm talking about? So next week, what we're going to talk about is that we're going to talk about how we can go even beyond those furry magicals, right? How we can really develop a mind that is like the source of like all our happiness, constant happiness.
You missed.
Not this. Okay, I think that I'm a little bit tired today. We're gonna finish now. Is that okay? Yes. I'm. I think also I don't want to start talking more things about it next week. So we start next week. We continue next week. So thank you so much. I hope that this was beneficial. I really believe that if we really keep that in mind and we try to really develop these, more and more, really special, right? So we dedicate that we are able to really use these mental states, this counteraction, these kind of like antidotes in our minds. And in this way, we are freeing ourselves. So this is self-compassion, right? Like freeing ourselves from suffering. This is love, self-love. We are becoming happier, right? And then from these more healthy, positive virtues, unconditional, unlimited mental state, then these becomes the source of the essence or the start of our actions of body and speech. So then instead of us just not harming others, but we become more compassionate, more peaceful. We start to manifest those qualities into the world. So actually doing this is our main contribution to a more compassionate, kind, loving, peaceful world. So we dedicate for that we might be able to really accomplish this. And by doing that, may we be able to help others as well, right? Not only do it for ourselves, but really try to help others. So we dedicate for that. And of course, we also, I always really, 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 I think we need to remember the essence of what we have been talking about. It's actually our teachers. And, we can start from the Buddha 2,600 years ago, who went through a lot of hardships to develop that awareness, that wisdom within himself, so he could share with us 2,600 years after, but has been completely kept, unchanged by those beings, women, men, all of these beings that have developed those mental states in their minds, not because they know what to say, but they applied those things to their minds, right? And then they became that. They are living proof that this is possible. Hmm? So we dedicate for their long and healthy lives, especially His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and for the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche, who for us is a more direct connection, so we can believe, you know, really believe that this is possible. So we can develop that wish more and practice more, and then develop more and practice more and help more, and like this, more and more. So thank you so much. Hope you can use these in your daily life. And thank you for being so patient and kind too. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night. Thank you.